Hello and welcome back. This is Family and Life Show on Mwanga Radio. It is always nice to come to you through the airwaves, and we appreciate your feedback and our interactions. Even through your questions, we are learning together and growing to make better families. We continue. In this episode, we pick up from where we left in our last episode. We have been talking about the family life cycle stages, and we introduced ourselves to the 8 of them and agreed that I'll be taking each at a time. In our previous episode, we started with the first stage, which is the family of origin. And I took you through that journey and introduced what it is, introduced the tasks involved in the family of origin experience, and we agreed that we would go through a few more stages of how a child develops within the family of origin. We touched on 2, and today I want to continue, pick up from there. We talked about the first one being a stage of infancy, where a child learns either to trust or to mistrust, depending on how fast their needs are taken care of. We also talked about the second stage, and we are referring to the Erik Erikson psychosocial stages of life. The second stage we talked about in our previous episode is the early childhood, where we talked about a child of between 1 to 3 years, and we called it autonomy versus shame and doubt, where this child now desires to make choices, desires to have the freedom of choice. And this we tackled in our previous episode. So today we pick up on the third. We are still within the family of origin experience. And the third stage, according to Erik Erikson, is the preschool age. And here we are talking about a child of between 3 to 6 years, where they get now to start going to pre-primary, in our case. So at this stage, we are calling initiative versus guilt. And in this stage, children seek to achieve a sense of competence and initiative. They seek to achieve something. They have their little goals they would want to achieve even as they go to school. If they are given too much freedom to select personal, meaningful activities, they develop a positive view of self and they follow through with their projects. So when they are allowed the freedom to make a choice, as we talked last time, and they choose what is meaningful to them according to their activities, if they are allowed to make that choice and to work through it, then they develop initiative. And they can make decisions. I want to do this project or the other. They may not be big projects, but in their little world, the small projects. So in this, they develop initiative. And these are now the children who you can find telling themselves to do something. On the other hand, if not allowed to make their own decisions, they develop guilt over taking initiatives. They step back and allow others to choose for them. You know, if a child, whenever they try to take an initiative and do something, they are condemned, they are told stop, they are told that's not the right way to do it. What happens? They fold their hands back, pull back, and wait for others to do it. And this happens in this stage. They are not willing to take any initiative. They believe I cannot do anything meaningful. They believe I cannot make a right choice. They believe there is nothing that I choose. There is no project that I desire to do that I can do because maybe the caregiver or a parent or, a significant other person always tells them stop or always tells them you can't do it. So they develop guilt in taking initiative. I hope that is clear because this will affect so much a child even in their future life, where they try to dream big, then they remember, I cannot make it. Or they start feeling guilty and ashamed about every choice that they make. So like we said, the family of origin really shapes an individual's life and affects their future. So according to Eric Erickson, the fourth stage that happens within this family of origin season is called the school age. And here we are talking about a child between 6 and 11 years. And we call it industry versus inferiority. This child is quite engaged in school at this age, and they are developing the capacity to work and to cooperate with others at school. And, they're industrious, they are working. The basic task is to achieve a sense of industry, and they set goals that they want to attain, personal goals, even in school. Now, when they fail to do this, results in a sense of inadequacy and feelings of incompetence and inferiority. Now, when they are not allowed to, set up their own goals and become industrious and work, and all this is shaped by the caregivers, the teachers around them. When they are not allowed to have that sense of industry, then they feel inferior. And this is where in the future you find somebody struggling with their, inferiority complex and feeling they cannot handle the situation at hand. They cannot be able to make personal goals that are relevant. And like we said in the previous stage, they wait for others to make decisions for them. They wait for others to choose for them. So it is a very important stage, because this is a stage where they are understanding a little. They are not like the infants and the preschool. These are people who are having understanding. And the experiences they have at this age will really shape how they behave in the future, will shape their academic journey, because they will believe, I cannot do it, I can do it. So they work towards the goals. The other stage, the stage 5 now, the adolescent. Here we are talking about 12 years to 18 years. And we are calling it identity versus role confusion. As an adolescent at this age, they try to answer the question, who am I? The identity crisis coming. They start wondering, and who am I, and what is my contribution in the society? What can I give? And they also want that freedom. They want to choose values and vocations, goals that lead to secure their personal identity. Therefore, the negative outcome is confusion about future adult roles. So as they are at this stage and they want to be dependent, they want to, choose things that are they feel like they belong, and especially because of the peer pressure at this age, they would want to answer the question, where do I belong? Am I a child? Am I an adult? They find themselves in between, and therefore they get confused. Without proper guidance, they get confused about their identity and about their role. And that is why at this age, it is important for parents to give proper direction about the roles that a child or whatever gender should be involved in. At this stage is when a child should be allowed to be, to feel that aspect of, I am either a woman or I'm a man. And they are supposed to get that understanding, but be guided well. Otherwise, when they get advice from their fellow peers, they miss the direction at this stage. And there are many, many issues that come up with this stage of life. And like I said, we'll be handling each issue at a time. When we talk about the struggles in relationships that would happen at each of these stages, then we will touch each and mention how can we go about it, how can a parent go about it. Now, talking about the 5 stages that we have handled in the family of origin, realizing that a child will come from infancy, they get to preschool age, to school age, and to the adolescent age, we find there are things they may pick from each and every stage. For example, this child who has picked, mistrust will grow with it to the very end. This child that has picked initiative, they can be able to initiate something. They can be able to make their own goals. They will grow with it to other stages of life. So it is very, very important to, as we raise our children, those who are still raising, to consider how we do it so that we can have a healthy human being. We can have a human being that feels confident to face the world and the challenges in the world, so that they don't reach to a certain age and they're expected to make decisions and they feel overwhelmed just because they don't have the capacity. There was no capacity that was raised. So I believe we have been able to touch the 5 psychosocial stages that a child or an individual is involved in within the family of origin. I'll still welcome your questions. You can raise them on our social media platform so that we are able to respond to that particular need that you could be having, that question that you could be having concerning the issues that we have talked about. We look forward to continue growing together in this journey of making our families healthier. Thank you for your time.